Good Monday evening, Pitt State football fans. Welcome to the 2012 Pitt State football season and the Coach Tim Beck Show presented by CDL Electric. We're live at Chatter's Restaurant and Bar. We'll be here on Mondays throughout the Pitt State football season. Eddie Lomchek along with Pitt State head coach Tim Beck and defending MIAA, defending national champions. Get it going on Thursday down in Tahlequah against Northeastern State. First meeting in a long time, and Coach, you guys been after each other now for about 3 weeks. What's it like when game week rolls around?
Well, you say this every year, but you get to the point where you want to go play somebody else. You're tired of playing yourselves. Our offensive, defensive line are tired of banging each other, and it's the same feeling every year when you get to this point. It's let's go. I don't know if we're ready or not, but we're going to go find out on Thursday, and then be ready to make change our guys and around a little bit and make some changes on a few special teams probably on Friday, and just got to go find out and see where we're at.
I'd ask you this in Kansas City, MIAA preseason day back the first of the month, and I'll ask you again, as defending conference and national champions, what's the most important thing for this team as they get ready to play an opener and maybe not to not rely on last year's success?
Well, that's the bottom line is don't worry about what happened last year. And, our kids bought into going one game at a time, one play at a time last year, and it'll be the same thing this year. But, we can't rely on what happened last year because what happened last year has no bearing on what's going to happen on Thursday night. And our kids need to understand that it's a new season. We've got a whole new different team. We've got lost 20-plus seniors, and what a tremendous job they did leading our team and helping get our team back to where we wanted to get to. But when you lose that many seniors and lose the leadership that they had, you got a new group of guys, and you just got to see how they're going to come together and how they're going to play together. And we talked about. We use the word one a lot, but us playing as one is extremely important.
Yeah, that said, you don't want to rely on last year. What lessons can this group take from last year, just in terms of team chemistry and some of the intangibles?
Well, the first thing is, we just try to get our kids to play as hard as they possibly can, and our coaches have done a tremendous job of getting that out of them at practice, and you're going to make mistakes, and as coaches, you don't mind making mistakes as long as you make them full speed, but we just want our kids, we want our other people to watch us on video and say, man, those guys play really, really hard. And, if we can get our guys to do that every single play, then we've accomplished what we need to do as coaches. And then, our talent that we have and our physical abilities, and as long as we got the right people in the right spots, then everything else will take care of itself. And it doesn't mean you're going to win every game. Obviously, that's our goal, is to win every game. But, we've got to improve every single day and can't be satisfied on where we're at every day.
Nate Dreiling, Gus Toka, Aaron Kolich, John Brown, Anthony Abinoa, Chaz Smith, and Solomon Watkins, elected captains in the spring. What should it mean to them, and what do you need your captains to do?
Well, our captains, they understand how significant it is because, number one, their teammates pick them as captains, and Solomon Watkins is coming off an injury, and he was tremendous for us in the offseason. What a great example he sets for us. And Chaz Smith the same way, coming off an injury, and that group of guys right there, that 7 guys, have tremendous work ethic. I mean, they come every single day and do exactly what you ask them to do, and will go above and beyond anything that we ask them to do to make Pittsburgh State the priority and make sure that everybody understands how important the team concept is. And so that's what you want out of your captains. Anthony Abinoa getting picked as a captain, and he's never started a game, speaks volumes in my mind on the things he's done with our football team and how he's prepared himself on and off the field. And a lot of kids just really look up to him because he works so hard.
It was just hot as blazes, right? When you were getting ready to go, you caught a huge break in the weather. It made for some very pleasant practice conditions. I know you can condition more there. The guys maybe aren't as taxed mentally. How do you feel the preseason has gone?
Well, yeah, we were very fortunate. I mean, no one wants to practice in 100-degree weather. I mean, you just can't get near as much done as you'd like to get done. You'd like to go out there. You'd like to think that no matter what, you're going to go out there and practice 2 hours. But, put all that stuff on and get out there, and it's probably 120 degrees, on the turf at times. You just can't go as long. You can't, and so we got a huge break with the weather, and then we're able to go in the mornings and the evenings, and we just had a few hot days really, and so Yeah, and when we did, we were in a little bit better condition and better shape, and so we pushed them a little bit harder when we had those days. And early on, because of the break in the weather, we were able to condition them very well. I think, overall, we run the dreaded gasser test that our guys don't like, the conditioning test, but overall, as a group, I feel like we were in a little bit better shape this year than we were last year at this time as a group. Now, still got a few of them that haven't passed that test, and those were our buddies for a while, and they got a little extra running sometimes before and after practice, and it's amazing some of the guys that didn't pass, that how they appreciate it now because they realize that it's helped them get in good enough condition to play right now.
I talked with Jim on the show last hour, but the new turf down at the stadium, what's the feedback like on that from players and coaches?
Well, it's been phenomenal. Mondo did a tremendous job getting it in, and the guy that was in charge of it was outstanding, and he really kept those guys hopping, and they finished 2 or 3 weeks in advance. So our guys got to go ahead and get on it some this summer before we started fall camp, and I haven't heard one bad word about it. I think everybody thinks it's fast, and that's what our guys wanted. They wanted a fast surface. It's not as long as most turfs that you go play on. It's a little bit shorter, but we really like it. I think it looks phenomenal, and so far up to this point, it's played awesome.
Well, we'll see it in person for a game in a week and a half, but before we'll have to go down to Tahlequah and play one. So a lot of that good stuff to look forward to. We'll take our first break with Coach Beck. When we come back, we'll break down the Gorillas a little bit by position, and what a fun year it could be on both sides of the ball with the experience back on both sides. So that and more when we return to Chatters on the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Welcome back to the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomchek along with Pitt State head football coach Tim Beck, live at Chatters Restaurant and Bar here on Mondays throughout the Pitt State football season. That was one of the most exciting plays of a national championship season. That was a punt return for a touchdown by John Brown to start the scoring in the semifinal win at home over Delta State on a cold night, but nobody minded the cold on that night. What a great night for Pitt State, and then, of course, on to Florence, Alabama to win a national title, and hopefully more of that in the future. Coach, a lot of good things are back because of experience on both sides of the ball. I want to start on offense because any coach at any level, if there's one place they love experience, it's on the O-line. Talk about that group and what you expect from them.
Well, it starts out with Aaron Coolidge. When you don't have your quarterback back, then you want to make sure you have your center back. You don't want to lose both those guys in the same year. And Aaron, was injured last year, missed some games early, and Tyler Smith, filled in for him and did an adequate, really did a tremendous job for us. And so Aaron Coolidge is a captain, and he's kind of our leader on the offensive line and makes a lot of calls for us, and just very, very reliable guy. And, with him, we have Josiah Cody back, who missed the year before. And, going into last year, we felt like Josiah Cody was maybe one of our best offensive linemen, and we ended up losing him a week before the fall started. So, he was really upset last year and didn't get a play, but he's really worked hard to get himself back in position, and so far looks really good. He'll start at the right guard position for us. Then at right tackle, we have Cody Holland, who started last year for us, and this will be his third year as a starter. And Cody's 6'5", 330 pounds. Very aggressive, and his pass blocking's improved, and we expect another big year out of Cody. So we're excited about him. And then to left guard, Tyler Smith, who I just mentioned, got a lot of playing time at center last year, and so he's gonna fill in at the guard position, and which gives us some flexibility because he can play center or guard.
Right.
And then at the left tackle position, Oliver Venegas always had a good spring and a good fall camp, and got to play a little bit last year in the playoffs and filled in and did a good job for us. And so he's got a little bit of experience, not a lot of experience, but always a tough physical kid that will give everything he's got. So that's our starting lineup. And then, backing them up, we do have a few guys that have a little bit of experience, and Boston Higgins will be the first guy in at either tackle spot, and he played a little bit last year. And then Cale Kerrigan's another one that can play guard or tackle, and he'd probably be the first guard to play. And then Jeremiah Fleming's another one that had some experience from last year. And so that's kind of where we're at. That's the first 8 or 9 guys, and feels good to have at least 5 guys that have experience, that have some game experience under their belt.
Yeah, and the versatility you mentioned is nice. Cody's played a couple positions, Kolich, and now Tyler Smith. Part of that O-line, tight ends. And, of course, we've had some great ones over the years, but some injuries in the spring leaves you some question marks there. Talk about filling the void now at tight end.
Yeah, tight end's has been a little bit of concern. But, one thing I wanted to go back and mention, too, is I forgot to mention Taylor Peak. Taylor Peak came in and helped and has been playing some center for us, and he's another center guard type and has done a really nice job. He was a really nice pickup for us here in this fall. So
Gerard Boy from
Gerard Boy didn't go through the spring with us, but has had a nice fall camp and been a nice surprise. At tight end, a little bit of concern because where we were from last year and of course lost Briston Kelly and so not as deep as we'd like to be there, but we've got depth at receiver and running back, and so it's one of those things you can't play everybody, you can't play 12 guys, so you can expect to still see some two tight ends part of the time, but Mandel Dixon's a kid that is a football player. We saw him in some short yardage situations last year, and we just decided to go ahead and make that move with him, and he's really bought into that, and that'll be helpful to us for him to have a good year. Doesn't have tons of experience there, but played the position in high school, played the H-back position and tight end, and so he's played it a little bit, but he'll just get better and better week to week. So got Mandel Dixon. Brady Letchworth played some last year and then was injured in the Emporia State game, so he missed a few games. But Brady's got a little bit of experience, along with Chance Riley. Chance played for us some last year, and Chance is back. Has missed some practice because of some injury, but he's back and healthy now. And then we had one more pickup, a young man by the name of Zach Bissett, who played a few years ago at Dodge City Community College, was a tight end, defensive end type kid out of high school, went to Ulysses High School, related to Chance Rudzik, who played back in the early 90s for us. And so Chance has been out of football for a little bit. Zach has been out of football for a little bit, but has come back and very excited and just real eager to learn and eager to play. So that's our four tight ends.
Well, it's a group you've leaned on. Again, you need them to do a lot of different things, and so it'll be fun to watch them progress in the backfield. There may be some guys you can't travel because Bryson Wilson, Jason Spradling, Solomon Watkins probably isn't 100% yet. I know Jeff Siebold's coming off a good spring. Go on and on and on with those guys. You have so many that can do so many things. I know you feel good. Is this going to be a backfield by committee?
Well, it is early on because, number one, it will be somewhat warm the first couple of games, and we want to make sure there's no reason for us not to have fresh legs in the game. And all of them bring different things to the table that they can do. But I tell you, they've all had good fall and spring and have experience from last year. With the addition of Trez Tillman. Trez didn't play for us last year, and he's another one that can really do some nice things, and he's played some receivers, so he's got that behind him a little bit and going for him, and we can get him out of the backfield and do some different things, and he's hard to bring down in the open field. And in fall camp, Jeff Siebold's had a great camp, and Braxton still does all the same things he's done, and Jason's very reliable, and like you say, we've got several of them with the addition, too, of Stephen Poston, Brian Poston's older brother, who had set out for a year or two, and we've got him playing the B-back, and he's a little bit more bigger physical type guy that can play as well. So we've got a nice group of backs.
How important is it for those guys to buy in? I thought that was big last year. That seemed like an unselfishness, and maybe that was indicative of the whole team, but it just seemed like they all accepted different roles last year.
Well, they really did, and they understand. And it's one of those things you like when you have a Jermaine race, when you've got one guy that's just better than everybody else. There's no decisions to be made. You go out and you hand that guy the ball, sometimes 49 times.
Yeah.
But when we've got the group that we have, they all have their special talent. They all do things pretty well, but some of them do other things better than the other. And, we like playing a lot of players. And it's one of those things, if they've done what they're supposed to do as far as academics and what they're supposed to do on and off the field, and they're good players, we're going to find a way to play them. And we just so happen we've got more depth at that position than we normally do. And so, we've got a good group to play, and that'll be one of our biggest challenges is keeping them rotated in. But we want to make sure we have fresh legs in the game.
You mentioned the receivers, and obviously John Brown's a returning All-American and the return specialist as well. Talk about JB out there and just the number of ways you have to try and find to get him the ball.
Well, the thing that we kind of forget too is just a year ago JB was still kind of the unknown and at this time, and we went through the spring, and Andrew Castaneda had a tremendous spring, and that's the thing that's nice is we've got a guy that's a great-looking kid, great player, can run, can do some things, and Andrew Castaneda, and sometimes he gets overshadowed because of John Brown, and John Brown is an exceptional player. And so when you have John Brown and Andrew Castaneda, and then we have Luke Rampy that's got experience, Bradley Argerbright, Gavin Lutman, Levi Kunch, with the addition of Austin Daniel and Herman Ming, we've got a really nice group of receivers, and so there's competition there every day. So it's one of those things when you have competition at the running back and receiver position, those guys seem to stay healthier.
Yeah.
They don't get hurt. If they're hurt, they don't stay hurt very long because they know they've got somebody right on their heels that's getting ready to take more playing time. And so, the nice thing is they all understand that they're unselfish players. They will play their tails off when their number's called, but they understand that they're not the only good receiver there. And so we've got a lot of good players, and that makes it nice.
Well, that'll help the quarterback situation, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. We need to take another break. When we come back, talk about the quarterback. Still going to talk about defense, special teams, and eventually Thursday's opponent, Northeastern State. Back with more of the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric, right after this. Welcome back to Chatters and the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomchek along with the head gorilla, Coach Beck, here at Chatters. Let's draw for a name there. Ahmad and his staff at Chatters do a great job. Hope to see you out here throughout the course of the season and giving us a chance to give away a $25 gift certificate here to Chatters and the House of Wings. Dine in only. Includes drinks. Expires at the end of the calendar year. Teresa Noyce, come on down. There will be some repeat winners, I'm sure, throughout the course of the year, but take that with you. Take your name out. You can only win once, so we'll do that. Appreciate Ahmad and his staff. Hope to see you down here. They do a great job, great menu, full-service bar, all those wonderful things. Coach, going across the offense there before the break, and quarterback Anthony Abinoa, and I know I saw him play in high school, and I thought he was a great land when we were able to get him. Good size, obviously a different type player, if you will, than Zach Dickey, in which you've had the last couple of years, but still going to be very capable. He played for Coach Rampy. He is third year at the collegiate level. So talk about Anthony, what's important for him and what you look for from him.
Well, the first thing is Anthony just needs to go be Anthony. He needs to go out and not try to be Zach Dickey and just try to do the things that he can do and execute what we call and not try to do too much. That's the big thing. Just go out, play, distribute the ball how you need to, take care of the football. Don't try to force any spectacular throws because he does have a cannon on him. He's got a great arm, but we don't need him to do anything extra special. He just needs to go out and play a good, smart game and take care of the ball. But we all have to understand, too, this is Anthony's first time to be a starter. He's going to make some mistakes. He's going to have some times that are frustrating for all of us, and that's just the way it is. That's just the quarterback position. But he's also going to have some times of brilliance because he can get on a run and he can get hot and he can be extremely exciting and fun to watch.
I'd interviewed him last week, and I asked him, and I'll ask you, how would you describe him as a runner?
Well, he's very deceiving. I mean, people think because he throws the ball so well, he can't run that well. Anthony's a tremendous athlete. Yeah. He can kick, he can punt. He threw a 91-mile-an-hour fastball in high school. I mean, he can play baseball. He can do a lot of things, and so he's an athlete. So, if he has an opportunity to pull it down, you're going to see somebody that can move better than most people think. Yeah. I think, and the thing that we want him to do is make sure that he doesn't just go out there and try to run over somebody. That's not his job. He doesn't need to run over people. Zach Dickey did that last year, but again, Anthony's not Zach, and so he needs to be smart about how he plays and take care of himself.
Yeah, he will. He'll be a guy that'll be hard to bring down. I think some people will find out at 6'3" and 220, but all that experience around him we talked about on the line, back, and receiver will certainly help. Flip it over to defense, and I want to start on the interior line. I talked to Coach Weimers out of practice recently. He said, if you watch last year down the stretch, those interior linemen, JR, John White, Cody Moore, they went so long without missing a gap assignment. They were accountable. None of them may have been All-Americans. You lose those three, you're plugging in about four guys for a couple of spots there. What's important for that group early in the year?
Well, we're going to miss J.R. Jones, and Cody Moore ended up just playing awesome down the stretch, like Coach Weimer said. He was phenomenal. But, we've got some guys that we're excited about. The first one is we moved Big Will Grissom to three technique, playing end, and he's been a very unselfish player. And a lot of guys don't want to move from the end position down inside, but Will's done a tremendous job of buying into what we're doing at the three technique position. And big, good-looking kid, long-armed. He'll have some growing pains as he goes a little bit too, but he's done a really nice job, and Coach Helwig and Coach Ike have done a really good job with him. So got him at the three technique, and Tay Irvin's a transfer from Coffeyville Community College that we're all excited about. He's got a very low pad level, can get off the football, can cause some problems, can get in the backfield, and he's got a little personality to him. He brings a lot of excitement to our players, and the only question on Tay is how many plays is he going to be able to play, because he came in just a little bit overweight. But, man, when he goes. He's going to be fun to watch. And, along with them, we have Tank Burns, who's back, and it's time for him to get going. And we've got Gavin Rainwater as a freshman.
Yeah, out on the Osho, yeah.
Out on the Osho that we have to make a decision here in the last day or two, but probably will end up playing him. He's just had a really good fall camp. And then another transfer in Big Robert McField, who could play the end or three technique position. And Robert's better days are ahead of him. He doesn't quite know how to play exactly what we want to do, some of the things we want to do yet, but got a great body, really wants to learn, very eager to learn, and also a hard worker.
Those guys on the inside that, hopefully accountable, run plugs, whatever you want to call them, keep bodies off linebackers. On the end, Gus Toka, Joe Uzzle that'll be there, Lou Spencer Worthington from last year, but I don't know if there's two guys in the league that'll get off the ball better than Gus and Joe.
Yeah, Joe and Gus, you're exactly right. And Gus has just been, both of them are phenomenal in the weight room. I mean, they bench a lot, they power clean a lot, they're explosive. Joe's really improved himself because when he first got here, he was a little stiff, and now he's a lot more agile, but they are aggressive. They can rush the passer. They can play the run. They're both really, really solid players. And of course, Gus is a captain, and he's been a tremendous leader for us.
Dallas Shawls and Avery Adair, we saw a little bit last year, and both have worked hard, I know, to gain weight, but they're program kids, and I'm sure guys feel you can trust.
Well, I'm going to tell you, both of them, Dallas Shawls and Avery, Dallas has done a tremendous job, and he reminded us a lot of Joe when he was younger, and he's become a little bit more athletic and learning how to play. And I'm going to tell you, Avery Adair can rush the passer now. He can get after it, and our coaches, again, have done a tremendous job with him, but he's really long-armed, and he can run, and he's really hard to block. And so you can expect to see Avery play, and, man, we're really fired up about him.
Well, linebacker, the second level there, Nate Dreiling, you wouldn't trade him for another player in the country. He's a coach on the field. He's, you run out of superlatives talking about what he's done, and he still has 2 years of eligibility. What does it mean to your defense to have a player like Nate and all he brings?
Well, he runs the show over there. That's the bottom line. I mean, Coach Weimers is always talking about, and Coach Roth, how impressed they are with, his understanding of the game and how he can handle and manage everything. And when you have that guy out there, boy, it just makes you feel really good. He's going to get you in the right call. He's going to understand the unusual formations on what we need to do. And, he's just a phenomenal player. But, the thing that still sticks out in my mind is an inside linebacker having 7 interceptions. Yeah. Just shows you, him getting in the right position and getting in the right spot.
Joe Winchefel slated to start alongside him, a program guy, veteran guy. He's had his ups and downs with injuries, but started a couple of playoff games last year. I know you can trust him, but depth, whether it's Taylor Counts, Eric Brantley, you moved Tyler Disney there, Lewis Fouts. So collectively, do you feel good about your linebacking core?
Yeah, we do. Now, there's not a lot of experience there. Joe's going to get better as the season goes along too, just from experience. But he's gotten to where he feels real comfortable in there with Nate, which is a good thing, and I expect him to have a really good season. But the next one that really sticks out, it was a really good move by our coaches, and we had some long talks about it. But Tyler Disney has moved in there and really, really flourished. I mean, he can run and better than anybody we have at the inside linebacker position, in game today where everything's spread out, you need some guys that can run, and he can run, and he'll hit you and do some things. He's got a lot to learn about playing the inside linebacker position, but he gives himself a chance because he's so athletic.
In the secondary, if we throw a blanket over that group, there's experience at corner with Devontae Bosby and Arias Heron, and you have guys, a transfer from Northwest Missouri in Graylin Saunders, I think, and you look at that, and safety, Jason Pete and Chaz Smith, some of those guys back, and Keaston Terry's added to the mix. It just seems like you have a lot of guys on the back end of the defense that I think you feel pretty good athletically and speed-wise.
Well, we do. You know, when you're looking at 3 safeties and 2 corners, so you're looking at 5 positions there, and you know, you need a lot of players there. You need a lot of depth there, and Coach Weimers feels good about our corners. Devontae Bosby has really matured and really done a nice job in the spring and fall camp, and Coach Weimers is really excited about him. And then Graylin Sanders has had a really good fall camp. We knew he's going to be a good player. He's a good man-to-man player. He's aggressive. He's been a nice addition and done everything that we've asked him to do. And of course, Arias is back, and everybody loves Arias because he returned that blocked for a touchdown. And Arias is a great player, and so there'll be some kind of rotation going on there. And you know, another one is Dino Teague. He was a freshman that we redshirted last year, and Coach Weimers recruited him, and he's a real dynamic kid, fun to be around, and a good player as well.
Well, you look at adding those guys, and you try and rotate them in, but how the game has changed, defending sideline to sideline, and philosophically it's changed. Coach Weimers, there were several defenses there in his first couple of years, but you guys have kind of settled on this alignment, and last year I think led the league in pass defense, first in interceptions. The need, I guess, to have guys like that back there. What's your philosophy on the kind of player you want in the secondary?
Well, you know, the number one, they've got to be able to run. They've got to be able to run and cover, and you know, and then obviously we want them to tackle. You know, they've got to be able to tackle. But, you know, Keaston Terry has been a really nice addition at the safety position. And you know, he's going to fit in. And he has 3 years eligibility left and, you know, started at the University of Kansas and had 66 tackles for them. And so he's a real kind of a unassuming young man. He just goes about his business every day and does his job. But when you have Keaston Terry and Jason Pete back there at the safety, that's the kind of guys we're looking for at the safety position, guys that can cover some area, they're rangy, they'll make plays. You know, they're going to have an issue here every once in a while, but they're real smart kids that know how to play the game. Yeah,
rangy yet can be physical, and we'll look forward to having those dudes back there patrolling center field, if you will. We'll take another break right now at Chatters. When we come back, another giveaway. We'll talk some special teams, some rules changes, and eventually about Northeastern State as well. Back with more of the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric after this. Welcome back to Chatters and the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Eddie Lomchek, along with Pitt State head football coach Tim Beck, who's going to put his hand in the bucket there, pull out another winner for a $25 gift certificate, dine-in only, including drinks here at Chatters. Expires at the end of the calendar year. Harlan Hess, congratulations. That was our lucky table last year, our lucky table of winners. So if we went tonight without a winner from that table, it was going to be amazing. So thank you for being here and enjoy that. And thanks again to Ahmad and his staff for having us again this year and for all the good folks that have turned out. Coach, special teams, huge part of the game. And sitting here watching the highlight video from last year and don't need to look any farther than that Truman State game as special teams that you guys are sputtering and turning the ball over, and John Thomas returns a kick. You give up a block punt for a touchdown, a couple kickoffs out of bounds, and then Truman chooses to kick it instead of go for two, and you end up with a game. So it's amazing the difference that area of the game can make and how sophisticated it's become. And you'll have a new look there. Jake Craig choosing not to come back. Chase McCoy graduated. So did your long snapper, Billy Evie. Start with the snapping. Got to have a good snap. Luke Rampy's back to hold. Talk about your long snapper spot.
Well, you know, we had a lot of highs and lows with our special teams last year, and there were some low, really low lows and some really high highs. I mean, it was unbelievable some of the swings we had in our special teams last year. We got to be more consistent, first of all. But we feel like we got a lot of good skilled players, so we should be pretty solid overall as a special teams group. But you know, we've probably got two snappers going in, and we'll have a short snapper and a long snapper, and our short snapper will be Aaron Kolich, our center, and he seems to be the most consistent at snapping on field goals and extra points. And then Alex Howdeshell is a young man out of Kansas City that transferred actually from Central Missouri that will do our long snapping.
And, Billy Eby was pretty steady for you for a couple of years, and it's nice when that's all they can do. Place kicking, brought in Connor Frizzell, I know, a transfer, and Chase McCoy was just rock solid last year. Talk about your battle for a kicker.
Well, we had 3 or 4 kids here, and Connor had a really good spring for us. Didn't perform quite as well in the spring game as we'd hoped, but he's been the most consistent. When he's fresh, he seems to have a really live leg. We watched him kick out at Butler County and did some really nice things for them. So, and he's close to here. He grew up going to Pitt State games. He loves the Gorillas. He's a diehard, and he's wants to do whatever the best that he can do for us. So, he's really into it, and I expect him to do well this Thursday. But Connor Frizzell will be our kickoff guy and our extra point and field goal guy.
And then punter with Jake choosing not to come back, so new look there. How's that position?
Well, we were really concerned about that early on, but Griffin Knopp from Fort Scott, he came here to be a receiver, punter, and high jump for Coach Jewett. And, he was a 6'8", I believe, 6'8", 6'9" high jumper in high school. And so he's got some explosiveness about him. And he hasn't been as consistent as we'd like, but every once in a while he can bomb them, and he just needs some game experience. So Griffin Knopp from Fort Scott will be our punter.
Hopefully he never has to play, right?
Well, that would be nice if we didn't have to do that.
Get out there and do that. You and I were talking a couple weeks ago out there about the punt formations. In recent year, you guys have gone to this where it's all spread out. You give big gaps. Sometimes it's more guys than one side than the other. Just talk about how special teams have changed and how much more time you do have to put into it.
Well, punt teams have become very detailed. It used to be forever and ever and ever you ran 2 punt formations, either this punt formation or that punt formation. It was either tight or spread. Now it's everything and all different kinds of alignments and different types of people on there, and they use count systems or they use gap systems. There's just a lot of different things that go into it. You have to really be on your toes as a punt block team and make sure you've got everything covered. And then yet, as your punt team, you want to make sure sometimes you have big, wide gaps, but you've got to have a good count system, and if you don't, somebody's going to come free. And so it's pretty, it's became, like I said, very detailed. A lot of the guys are doing various things and many different formations. Coach Pierce coaches our punt team and does a tremendous job with them, and he's done a tremendous job with Griffin Knopp up to this point.
John Brown, an All-American return specialist last year. John Thomas was back there on kickoffs. I remember talking to you in Kansas City at the MIAA basketball tournament because the rules changes were announced and kickoffs are pushed, up to the 35 now.
Yes.
And if there's a touchback on a kickoff, the ball comes out to the 25. But you told me John Brown told you, how about putting me back there by myself?
Yeah, John, he thinks he can cover the whole field. And so
how's it look for people back there with him on kick return?
Well, we've got several that we're working, and we're not going to put John by himself, I don't think. And but we've got a young man, Marquise Cushion. And Marquise transferred in here. We recruited him out of high school out of Raytown South, but he went to the University of Kansas on a track scholarship and then transferred here in the spring, competed in track, great triple jumper. But he's very explosive. He's playing corner for Coach Weimers, and he's learning. He's doing better. Not a real big guy, but, man, he's explosive. And so he will be back there with John Brown probably to start the game. And then along with him, we've got several other guys. We're working Devontae Bosby, Trez Tillman, and Jeff Siebel have all taken reps back there as returners. And all 3 of them would be very adequate.
And a couple of times in his career, we've seen Jason Spradling on punt returns. Is that just sure-handedness?
Yeah, Jason's going to catch everything. I mean, he's very reliable. And, he can make you miss, too. He's obviously not as fast as John and some other guys, but he is very reliable. So besides John Brown returning punts, it would either be Jason Spradling or Marquise Cushion.
So the rules change. That's interesting. And they say it'll make for a safer game, less collisions on kickoffs. And the reward of the touchback is it does come out to the 25. How much does that change your thinking? Do you tell your return guys or your kickers anything different?
Well, there's several things that you have to be concerned about. And,
if you have a kicker like Missouri Western did last year, you wouldn't be worrying about this at all because it'd be kicked out of the back of the end zone every time. But not everybody has that. So now you got to decide, where you're going to set your kicker or return guys, obviously. But the other concern that we have right now is to onside kick the ball is so different because if you pound the ball into the ground and it pops up, you can't go attack the return team like you could. And if they fair catch it, which they can when the ball is driven into the ground and pops up, if they fair catch signal, then you've got to give him some room just like you would a punt returner that's fair catching the ball. So they really have protected them and really trying to take a lot of the collisions out of the game. It's amazing when they moved the ball back to the 30. They did that on kickoffs because they wanted to see more returns. They wanted to see more exciting returns. Game, yeah. And now that we've had returns and some too many collisions, and so now they're moving it up because they want fewer returns. So we need them to kind of make up their mind and stay with it. But it is what it is. Everybody's the same. You have to have at least 4 guys on either side of the ball, so you can't load up on one side like you used to. And so there's a few things that strategically Coach Weimer's in charge of our kickoff team and Coach Pearson in charge of our kickoff return team. There's some things that we've talked about and try to make sure you get everything covered.
What do you tell your return man now on a ball 3 or 4 yards deep?
Well,
better make it.
If we're not going full speed backwards to catch it, if we're back there and we can catch it, as we're moving forward a little bit, we're going to bring it out. Because of John Brown. If John Brown has an opportunity to catch it, we're going to let him bring it. If he's at the 5-yard line and he's on a full sprint backwards, backpedaling and catching it on his heels, then he's probably not going to bring it out.
Yeah, and the 25, that's, a little more rewarding, I guess, for the offense. But one other rule change, if you lose the helmet, the Zach Dickey rule now, you have to come out for a play as though you were injured. Any change in that? Just make tighter chin straps?
Yeah, there's a lot of them that just don't have it quite strapped on the way they should. That's the first problem. And then some of them that have a lot of hair, I think that makes it tougher because it comes off easier. But, we've talked about that from day one is tighten it daily. Tighten it, keep it tighter because you go back and look at our games and how many times J.R. Jones and Zach Dickey and some of those guys lost their helmet. It's a significant amount of time, a lot of plays that they would have lost. And we just don't want that happening. And it's going to happen every once in a while, but, again, they're doing it because of the safety of the player. The part I don't like is if you're a defensive lineman and your helmet comes – or if you're a defensive player at all and your helmet comes off, you can absolutely not chase the ball. If you chase the ball, it's a penalty, And it's hard to coach players the way you want to coach them about running to the football like they're supposed to run, and then all of a sudden, if your helmet comes off, it's like playing freeze tag. You got to stop. Well, that's pretty hard to tell a defensive lineman. He's not tuned into stopping at any point. So, there's some things like that we'll have to work through. Hopefully, everybody's got them cinched down tight enough they don't come off, and then we won't have any problems.
Can you explain all those rules about blocking below the waist?
Well, they actually have they have made it a little bit easier. We could talk for 30 minutes about who can and who can't, but they have made it a little bit easier to officiate, I think. There's still some question. The bottom line is you have to know whether you're restricted or you're unrestricted, and if you're restricted, then you got to be smart about when you can block below the waist, and if you go in motion and those things. There's a lot of things that go into it, but for the most part, throughout the fall camp, our guys have a pretty good understanding of it, so we shouldn't have that many problems as long as the officials don't call the ones that they're not supposed to.
Well, I know you've brought officials in. You try and make it game-like, and hopefully your guys do adjust. And as you mentioned, everybody in the same boat on that. All right, need to take one final break with Coach Beck. When we come back, talk about Northeastern State, opponent on Thursday's season opener. Back to Chatters after this. Welcome back to Chatters for the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric here on Mondays throughout the Pitt State football season. Just confirmation there. We will be here next Monday for this show, 6 o'clock show. They will be open Labor Day. Draw another name there, Coach. One final gift certificate to give away, $25 here to chat. Oh, this one to Fat Daddy's. Dine-in only, includes drinks. Expires at the end of the calendar year. And Joy Van Gordon up there in the bar maybe. They left. Draw another name, Coach. They're out. We don't wait around here. Not a very patient person. John Bailey. John Bailey in the house? Huh? He left. Better pick one out. They're gone. Same table. Another Van Gordon. We're running out of time. We only have about 3 minutes to talk about Northeastern State. Jim Tarter in the house. Come on down, Jim. Enjoy that out at Fat Daddy's. Maud and his staff, thank you for the giveaways, and we'll do that. Coach down to Tahlequah. First meeting with Northeastern State since the 87 NAIA playoffs, and at our place, that was a good day. Hopefully Thursday's the same, but they're new to the league this year. I know you know their coach, Kenny Evans, been there 6 years. They've had back-to-back winning seasons, and they're going to have some talent on the field.
There's no doubt they're going to have some talent. They've had some nice pickups at several positions, and I can remember back in 1987 when that game was 57-0. It was they were a talented team at the time, but we just had a really good day. But I'm going to tell you, Kenny Evans is a good football coach. He was at Missouri Southern as a defensive coordinator. He was at North Texas. He's been at Division I level and now back down to Division II. But he'll have his guys ready to go. He's a relentless recruiter, and so they'll always have some really talented players. But they got several transfers from Oklahoma State that are good football players, and then from whatever reason or another that didn't work out there. And so they've kind of got a connection with Oklahoma State and have been able to pick up several nice players from there.
I know they bring back 8 on their defense. They feel they'll be much better. Last year they were in a lot of shootout games. They went 7-6, lost the Mineral Water Bowl. Offensively, they returned a quarterback. Deaton is his last name, 6'3", 210, sophomore, one of those transfers from Oak State. And I read today he's the leading returning passer in the MIAA, threw for 2,500 yards and about 26 touchdowns. What kind of player does he look to be?
Well, Johnny Deaton is a kid from Sand Springs. We know a little bit about him, and our quarterback Derek Harger and him were teammates in high school, and he'll catch it and throw it. I mean, he doesn't hold it very long, and so hopefully our defensive line can get a pass rush on him, but they can't get frustrated because he's not going to hold the football very long at all. They do a lot of quick stuff, and he does a really good job of managing their group, and you can expect him to throw it all over the place, and he's got a very, very nice arm.
What do you know about their defense?
Well, that's the thing. That's the worry on both sides of the ball is the unknown. I mean, we're going off of last year. We saw him play a couple of times on video off of last season, but new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. Kenny Evans has always been kind of a 4-3 guy. Steve Patterson's coming there from Central Oklahoma, and he's been a 4-3 guy. So we kind of anticipate seeing some 4-3, but Coach Wells and Coach Rampy have talked about we've got to be ready for 3 linebackers, 2 linebackers. We obviously got to be ready for a lot of blitz because Anthony being a new starter, they're going to try to put some pressure on him at some point. And so you go into the first game, you really don't know what you're going to get on either side of the ball other than we know Johnny Deaton can throw the football a lot, so we feel like they'll be in a lot of spread sets. Defensively, we anticipate seeing a lot of different things and have to be kind of prepared for everything.
Bottom line, in a season opener, regardless of how much experience, there are unknowns. In 30 seconds or so, what's it boil down to in a season opener? What are some of the most important things come Thursday?
Well, the first thing that sticks out for us offensively, we just got to take care of the football. And understand it's not a crime to punt the ball. We've got a good, solid defense, and our defense can go play every once in a while, and do fine. But hey, we're not going to try to force anything. Anthony doesn't need to try to force anything. We just need to not turn the football over. We need to be disciplined on both sides of the ball. And, what we're looking for out of this first game is how hard are we going to play. We feel like we've got some people that, some backups that can play, and we need to get them in and out of the game. But we want to leave that game, win or lose, we want to leave Tahlequah with them saying, man, those guys really, really play hard and play fast, because we feel like we have a pretty fast team.
6 o'clock kick from Tahlequah. If you can't make it, we'll be on the air at 5. That'll do it for us in the Coach Tim Beck Show, presented by CDL Electric. Thanks for listening. Have a great Monday night.